You talked in General Conference about an experience that you had in Vietnam where the helicopter came in and you're loading everybody on it. Let's just listen to that. And then if you would just share with us your thoughts about that moment and your reflections about that time.
Our infantry battalion had been in Vietnam for several months. I was a lieutenant, the leader of a rifle platoon. We were involved almost constantly in combat operations. That day dawned with our battalion deep in hostile territory. Very early, we sent out a reconnaissance patrol of about 10 men. One of them was Sergeant Arthur Morris. Several of the men were wounded in a firefight, including Sergeant Morris, who received a slight flesh wound. Eventually, the men of the patrol limped back to our lines. We radioed for a medical evacuation helicopter. Loading the wounded men on the chopper, I urged Sergeant Morris also to get aboard. He demurred. Again, I urged him. Again, he demurred. Once again, I admonished him. Once again, he refused. Finally, I said, "Sergeant Morris, get on that chopper." He looked at me, his eyes earnest, pleading. "Please, sir," he said. And then these words that will forever haunt me. "They can't kill a tough old bird like me." The entire scene is etched in my mind like a battle tableau. The jungle clearing, the impatient throbbing rotor blade of the helicopter, the pilot looking at me expectantly, and my friend begging to stay with his men. I relented. I waved away the chopper with its lifeline to tomorrow. Before the sun had set that very day, my dear friend, Sergeant Arthur Cyrus Morris, lay dead upon the ground, felled by hostile fire. And echoing in my mind over and over again, I hear his exclamation, "They can't kill, they can't kill, they can't kill." Of course, in one sense, he was dreadfully wrong. Mortality is so fragile. Only one heartbeat, the drawing of a single breath, separates this world from the next. One moment, my friend was a vital, living person. The next, his immortal spirit had fled, leaving the mortal tabernacle a lump of lifeless clay. Death is a curtain through which each must pass, and like Sergeant Arthur Morris, none of us knows when that passage will occur. Of all the challenges we face, perhaps the greatest is a misguided sense that mortality goes on forever, and its corollary, that we can postpone until tomorrow the seeking and offering of forgiveness, which, as the gospel of Jesus Christ teaches, are among mortality's central purposes.
War teaches us a lot of lessons about life, and you've articulated so beautifully some of those. What about the context of war and what it did to your heart and to your mind?
War is a terrible thing, Heidi. There's no glory in it. And I don't know any combat soldier that thinks otherwise about it. One of the things that one learns in war, and that little excerpt from that conference address highlights it, is that one thing you'll learn is that the importance of now, the importance of today. For the combat soldier, we were there for supposedly a 12-month tour of duty, but you quickly realize that that might as well have been for eternity, because you learn to be grateful for every sunrise and for every sunset. You came to appreciate that how fragile life really is, how precious it is, and how important it is to make the most of today. I must say that even now, sometimes when, I guess like most of us, we get thinking ahead to next year and 5 years from now and so forth, experiences like that one and others bring me back to the point that it's important to make the most of now, because that's one thing we know we have.
You received a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart serving in the Army. What did you learn about leadership as you had those responsibilities in your platoon?
My Army experience was the most intense crucible in leadership that I've ever been through. And I think that if I could distill out of it two things that have remained with me, first of all, is that
your men are more important than you. That their welfare is first. And second, the power of example in leadership, that it is the most powerful of all leadership tools. Let me just share one experience. I had a company commander, Captain Bill Blair, and we were on he was a great soldier and a great leader, and loved and admired by all of us. And we were on an operation one day. We were moving through an area of jungle, and he was with the lead elements of the company. We had 2 platoons. We were kind of spread out, moving ahead, and he was with the lead elements. And I was the acting executive officer for the company, the second in command at the time, and I was with a 3rd platoon that was bringing up the rear, because in Vietnam you had to have 360-degree security. And I heard that the lead elements of the company got to a small clearing, and they moved out into the clearing a few yards when an automatic rifle opened fire from the opposite side of the clearing. I heard the firing and hurried forward to the edge of the tree line to see what was happening. And I could see that the lead elements, including Captain Blair, were pinned down. They couldn't go forward, they couldn't go back. Suddenly, a lone figure leaped to his feet, without a helmet, without a rifle, armed only with a hand grenade. And it was Captain Blair. And he zigzagged his way across that clearing with the bullets were kicking up the dirt near his feet. And he leaped into the rifle pit and took prisoner the enemy soldier that was there. On the battlefield, any soldier can write up any other for a decoration. I recommended Captain Blair for the Silver Star, and General Westmoreland himself came and presented it to him a while later. But after that, there was nothing that Captain Blair could ask any of us to do that we wouldn't do, because we knew there wasn't anything he would ask us to do that he wasn't willing to do himself. That, for me, is perhaps the most powerful lesson in leadership that I learned in my combat service.